Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have a little bit of a different type of video today. I'm going to be reviewing Season 2, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian. For those who do not know, I am a massive Star Wars fan. It's one of my first fandoms that I was a part of, having been a member of it, I would say, since I was 5 years old. And The Mandalorian Season 2 has been one of my most anticipated releases of 2020. So let's go ahead and dive right into the episode. As the episode opens, we see the Mando and the child walking down a shady alleyway, which leads to a fighting pit. The Mando is looking for information on the location of other Mandalorians, and he's got a lead from a shady information dealer. As is typical of these shady and questionable locations, it proves to be a trap. However, Din, being a Mandalorian, is prepared, and we can see that the child is learning to recognize his weapons and understand that some trouble is about to go down. After a short fight scene, where we get to see just how advantageous Beskar armor can be for a Mandalorian, Din obtains his information and then is off to Tatooine. We see the Mando arrive on Tatooine, and he again lands at Peli Motto's garage. Remembering him from Season 1, Peli tells her droids to stand down, but this time Din decides to let them have a go at the ship. They have an amicable reunion, with Peli excited to see the child again. He asks Peli where Mos Pelgo is, and she provides him with the backstory of what happened to it after the pullout of the Empire. Peli shows him a map provided by way of R5, the little droid from the beginning of the original Star Wars movie, and Din sets off on a borrowed speeder bike. We then see Din speed off into the Tatooine desert. We get a lot of cool sweeping shots of the Tatooine landscape, and the music is on point, providing a nice mix of both synth and traditional Western sounds. We see Din camp out at night with some Tusken Raiders. This is refreshing since they've usually been painted as antagonists. We also get a little bit of a glimpse into their culture and communication as they appear to use sign language as an integral part. We finally see Din ride into Mos Pelgo. This little town evokes images of much of the American Wild West that we've come to know through films and other media. It's a rundown, shabby little place where those on the fringes are eking out survival. Following the Western trope, Din walks right into a saloon and begins to ask the barkeep for information. We are then greeted by Cobb Vanth, wearing none other than Boba Fett's armor. For those who don't know, this is a reference to the Aftermath book, which featured a few chapters of Vanth obtaining Boba Fett's armor from Jawas. It's interesting to finally see book information making it into film media. Din is upset by the fact that Cobb is wearing Mandalorian armor while not being a Mandalorian himself. He demands he return the armor, and the two gear up for a shootout right in the bar. Fortunately for the viewers, we're interrupted by a crate dragon making its way right down the center of town. We then learn from Cobb that the dragon has been terrorizing the area for years. After the dragon makes its way out of town, we get a little bit of background from Cobb about how he obtained the armor and why he wanted to use it to protect Mos Pelgo. After the Empire moved out, gangs and the mining cartel moved in and started terrorizing the citizens. Cobb was able to use the armor to come back and kick them out of town, thus providing a level of protection for the citizens. However, the armor is not particularly helpful against something as massive and powerful as the Krayt Dragon. So he strikes a deal with the Mando. If the Mando will help him get rid of the Krayt Dragon, Cobb will hand over the armor. Din surmises that he and Cobb are not going to be able to take down the Krayt Dragon by themselves. So he suggests they go and make a deal with the Tusken Raiders. They saddle up on their speeder bikes and take off to go make a deal. We see at this moment that Cobb's speeder bike appears to be salvaged from parts of Anakin Skywalker's pod racer, which is hilarious. Din and Cobb camp overnight with the Tuskens and attempt to strike a deal. However, tensions are high between Cobb and the Tuskens as they have raided Mos Pelgo and he has killed some of them in defense. However, Din explains to Cobb that from the Tuskens' point of view, the citizens of Mos Pelgo are the ones who are invading their homeland. From here on, the episode begins to play out much like previous episodes from Season 1. Din and Cobb will go with the Tuskens to get the lay of the land, learn that they are not going to be enough even with the help of the Tuskens to take down the dragon, and now have to recruit the entire village of Mos Pelgo to help. The episode appears to be about the theme of setting aside differences to work towards a greater goal. Throughout this time, we do see some of the tensions highlighted between the villagers of Mos Pelgo and the Tusken Raiders, but they are able to set them aside. We also see Din's respect for Cobb grow, as Din realizes Cobb is using the armor not for selfish gain, but in order to protect others. This plays into the theme of what it may mean to be a Mandalorian, and perhaps the fact that there is more than one way. As we move on to the final confrontation with the Krayt Dragon, we see the Tuskens and the village folk have set up and are ready to begin. The battle with the Krayt Dragon proves difficult. However, eventually they are able to tease the dragon out of its cave and attempt to blow its belly with explosives. This fails and instead only enrages the Krayt Dragon further. It then spits acid upon several of the Tusken Raiders and villagers. This prompts Cobb and Din to jump into action. As they find that they are unable to affect the Krayt Dragon with their weaponry, Din comes up with a plan. I love how he smacks Cobb's jetpack, similar to what happened to Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi, and sends him flying off wildly. Din is able to force the Krayt Dragon to swallow a bantha filled with explosives. However, he himself is also swallowed in the process. Never fear, his Beskar armor protected him, and once the dragon is dead, he emerges victorious. The Sand People immediately begin harvesting from the Krayt Dragon, and one of them begins to yell wildly as they found a Krayt Dragon Pearl, another reference to some Star Wars media from outside film, in this case from Knights of the Old Republic. With the Krayt Dragon dead, we see Cobb turn his armor over to Vin, and they part ways amicably. As we see Din return to Mos Eisley, we pan out, and we get a shot of none other than who appears to be Boba Fett watching him carry his armor back into town. This raises several questions about how Boba Fett lost his armor in the first place and why he couldn't go get it himself. Also, why has he just been stuck on Tatooine the entire time? Overall, I felt this was a strong start to Season 2 of The Mandalorian. We get to see a little bit of where we've been in Season 1 and some of where we're going to go. While I'm sure many fans are excited to see Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, I am cautiously optimistic about it. I don't want The Mandalorian to end up relying on character cameos from other shows, films, books, or various media. The show stands on its own very well, and it's one of the few pieces of media in Star Wars that can do so. If we keep relying on character cameos, we shrink the Star Wars universe back, which is one of the big complaints about the sequel trilogy, in that everyone has to be related to someone in Star Wars. Even though it's a galaxy-spanning republic or empire, we deal with like the same 150 people across the entire deal. Another thing I liked about this episode is that it raises the questions of what it might mean to be a Mandalorian. And much like the Jedi later on, the Mandalorians are in a position where they can redefine what it is to be a Mandalorian. Will they continue to be out for selfish gain and conquest, or will they instead turn to be protectors, fighting injustices against those who are less fortunate? In Season 1, he selfishly worked to obtain more Beskar to complete his armor, but he's also attempting to return the child to its people. And along the way, we've seen him help numerous groups of people, despite the fact that it doesn't actually offer him anything in return. He stands on the precipice of what could be the new Mandalorian way. I hope y'all enjoyed this review/recap. This is the first one I've done, so please don't judge me too harshly on it. I'm excited to see where the Mandalorian's going to go in Season 2 and what themes it can explore. And I'm super pumped for today's episode. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.